I'm Julie Purcell. I'm the executive director at Lazarus House. I've been with Lazarus House for 13 years and been the director for 3 of those years.
My name is Karen, and I am the event and donor coordinator here at Lazarus House, and I have been here about a year and a half.
My name's Megan Lopez. I'm the volunteer coordinator here. I've been here. This will be my 4th year.
My name's Amy. I am the operations manager. I've worked here 19 years.
My name is Sue Kate. I am the grant writer and development team lead. I have been here for just a little over 5 years, close to 5.5 years.
My name is Carlos Gonzalez Mendez. I'm at the moment full-time operations coordinator, and I've been at Lazarus House for about 3.5 years now.
My name is Wendy Gruber, and I am the associate director here. I've worked here for almost 9 years.
My name is John Satter, and I'm a building and facilities coordinator here.
My name is Katie Collins, and I am the Center for Transitional Living case manager. And I have been here on and off for probably about 15 years.
My name is Monse. I'm the women and children's case manager here. I've been here for a year and 6 months. Hi, I am Serena. I am the guest development coordinator here at Lazarus House, and I've worked here for almost 2.5 years. My name is Kaisa Nichols-Smith. I have been working at Lazarus House for a little over 4 years now, and I am our homeless prevention services manager.
My name is Mark. I've been here for 5 years. I'm the men's case manager, but we're kind of switching the roles for now. There's a case manager. There's 3 case managers total.
Hi, I'm Sherry, and I've worked at Lazarus House for 2.5 years, and I am an admin assistant. So that means I work kind of behind the scenes, ordering, mail, paperwork, really anything behind the scenes that needs to be done. Any special projects anybody needs help with, I try to step in.
I'm on. That's what I wanted to be. That's what I did.
I wanted to be a professional hair cutter. That's what I was going to do. And my dad told me that he would pay for college, and I could go to college, or I could move out on my own and go to beauty school.
I think majority of the time was a soccer player. Then later on in life, it was along the lines of where I'm going now, nonprofit business, stuff like that.
I was so carefree as a kid. I thought I only wanted I just wanted to play video games.
A teacher. I'd always wanted to be a teacher, and I did go to college for that, and I was a teacher for 5 years, and then I had my kids and stayed home with them, and then I went back and was substituting and assisting, and then COVID kind of put a kink in those.
When I was a child and grew up in the city of Chicago, and even when I was teaching in Chicago, I spent a lot of time at Lincoln Park Zoo because I loved the gorillas. And so my dream was always that I would be a zoologist.
You know, I was one of those kids where I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I was not bothered about the fact that I did not know. Like, anytime that anybody asked me that question when I was a kid, that John Lennon answer, that you want to be happy when you grow up. To me as a child, that made a lot of sense. Like, I never really had a career in mind that I saw as like something that would be part of my identity, if that makes sense. So when I was a kid, I dreamed of becoming a famous singer. I was always in choirs and doing whatever I could to be on stage, basically, as a child. And I did join a band for a couple months when I was, 20, I think. And that was a fun time, but I think I learned that I like more the community and connection aspect of singing more than performing and having people watch me do that. But I did get a husband out of it because that's how we met. And so that worked out well.
A clown. which is kind of shocking, but I grew up going to the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus at Madison Square Garden. Every year my grandma would take me, or my parents, and I just was fascinated by the clowns. And so I wallpapered my room with clown pictures and paintings, and all of those were nice and sweet looking. And then when I got older, I started to see all the creepy clown pictures and things, and I wasn't so enamored with being a clown. But I think I like the idea of it because I was shy and introverted growing up, and I always thought, well, if I were a clown, I could maybe be somebody that I'm not. So I guess I was attracted to that piece.
I never knew that was the problem. There was, because really there's just too many interests. Like, you know, I mean, I think there's so many things I could have done, you know, the whole sticking with the school thing's always difficult. But yeah, I mean, I love so many nurses are amazing. I love all that stuff. I think I could have totally done all that too. And especially as you get older, you realize, oh yeah, I could have totally done that if I just was staying in school. Yeah.
I think we try to meet each guest where they're at, and really understand. Again, they're so vulnerable when they come in that we just try to meet them where they're at. And sometimes maybe my idea of what should happen isn't maybe where they're at right away, especially in our 2-year program. So it's maybe having a little patience and slowing down and just working with them one day at a time to really overcome those barriers.
And, you know, you feel for them. You want them to do better or whatever that looks like. I'm not asking, you know, we don't ask for the world, but we'll ask for somebody. And then they, you know, life is hard.
But because I answer the phone a lot, I feel like my biggest challenge is that we get a lot of people calling who need help. And because of different circumstances, we can't help them. And that's very difficult when you're talking with someone on the phone.
It's very hard telling people that the kind of help that they want or that they need doesn't exist.
I think about all the challenging situations I've been in. We have an idea of what the people need to do to be successful. But something that you learn pretty quickly, I think, is that every success is going to look very different. The way that some person is going to progress is going to be very different than another person.
Homelessness doesn't start in a day, or you generally doesn't happen just right away. It's usually not like a downhill process. So a lot of people who are here have burnout and abuse through mental health or addictions or toxic relationships. Maybe they're running away, so they have nowhere else to go.
The hardest thing as far as volunteers are concerned is our overnight volunteering, to try to find people who want to come basically just sleep here. It has been kind of difficult. It's always a need for us. We have normally 1 to 2 staff members here every night. So we're grateful when we can have somebody here who just sleeps in case there's an emergency that arises. Somebody can kind of pop up and assist staff as needed.
Finding the sponsors and the venues to put on my events.
Most challenging aspect for me was becoming the executive director at the very beginning of the pandemic. We started in March of 2020 was really the start of the pandemic, and I became executive director technically in June of 2020, but did not really get the title until July of 2020 or August of 2020. But it was really challenging because we couldn't have any of our guests here at the shelter. We had to redo everything that was our norm. Writing infectious disease plans for the health department, learning the best way to have staff work remotely, but then slowly bring them back into the house and how we could do that safely, and keeping our guests safe and keeping them served while they were in the hotels. Having Google phone numbers and changing everything that we did to live documents and So it was really the full upheaval of changing everything that we knew. But the great thing is that we came together as a team, built great relationships among team members, and also innovated new ways to do things, which turned out to be much better than the way we were doing them prior to the pandemic.
Many moments. Yeah, it's hard. It can be really, really stressful. There is a heaviness that comes with working here. All of our guests that stay here have a story. They did not come here because their life was happy. They came here because something did not go right. And so every day we here at Lazarus House are trying to find a way to make their story be successful.
Oh, yeah. No, sure. Like all the time. Everybody does, right? Like,
Being perfectly and genuinely honest, there are days that I leave here and say, I can't do this anymore. I cry, I go home. My husband's like, why do you keep doing it then? Stop. But the mission of Lazarus House, once you've been here and you work here and you see what good things happen here, it's like the mission gets its hooks into you and you can't let go and you can't disengage from that because so much good happens here every day.
I mean, it's hard at times, and there have been many tears, but I think having the support of the people that I do have around me has helped so much because, if we can just take a step back and, say, at least this person had a warm bed to be in for X amount of days. This person was fed for this many months, and knowing that that's enough. I think that's what helps, and having that reflection and being able to bounce that off with coworkers and just talking through it, honestly, is what's helped me.
Because, there's been times where it's kind of, it weighs you down, depressed, not depressed, but like, it's a lot of negativity. I always think about that success story. We should always give them a chance to be that success story. Like, he can tell you well, because a lot of times everyone else is I'm with family, with friends. So we have to be that person.
We all get tired. I work 2 jobs, so I think that's kind of a struggle, being here in particular, no, because really I'm lucky in the sense that everybody I work with, we're kind of in the same position where we are so close knit. Everybody's willing to help you out so much here. So I feel always supported and things like that. So it's not a matter of not wanting to come for that reason. It's just going, when's a me day? So things like that.
It's just made me a better human being for sure, 100%. More humble. It totally makes you appreciate what you have, an upbringing. Like you can't help it when an 18-year-old comes in and that's like, so glad I have that parent.
When you hear these stories, it's difficult. We do our best.
So interestingly enough, early on, I had to do some homeless training, videos online and stuff. And I was watching that, and I went to a local store and I came across one of the guests there, and they were working, and it never dawned on me that just because you're working behind a counter somewhere doesn't mean that you have a home to stay at. And this person, because I had seen them here, I knew that they were staying here at that time. So it gave me a new perspective on that when you come across somebody, you don't necessarily know their story. You might think you know their story. You might think that, because you're behind the counter, you've got a home and everything else, and that might not be the case.
I think it's a combination of moments. The beauty of working in this house is miracles happen every day. I mean, every single day we as a staff get to witness just miracles in the guests' lives. The hardest thing they do is ring our doorbell, and this incredible staff who not only supports the guests, but also each other. I mean, we are do or die for each other because it's a hard job. It's got a lot of emotion to it, a lot of highs and lows. So I have many many moments, miracle moments where you get to see people at their most vulnerable, rise above what's keeping them from living on their own outside. This one's hard for me because there are moments every day here that have impact. But I think the thing that I come back to the most is the heart and generosity of the community has great impact on me. I cannot believe the faith communities, the businesses, the individuals, the different chambers, civic organizations that all step up in different ways to offer something to benefit their own neighbors. I think they see the value in what we do here, and they value the community, and every day that has impact on me.
You know, we recently had a single mom with 5 kids, and you can imagine how crazy that is. It was a lot, and it was a lot on the guests, the other guests. It was a lot on the staff, but ultimately it was a lot on them, the mom and these kids going through it. And I think, and that was just a really hard situation. There was just so many barriers for this family. And the mom was truly just trying her best.
It's a story that I'll always remember and I always reflect upon because it really did impact me. I was a case manager then, and we were short-staffed that night, and I had to work extra, so I worked over a 12-hour day and in the winter, and I was getting ready to leave. It was a little before 10:30 p.m., and we had a little scuffle in the shelter earlier that day. So some people had been heightened, so mostly everyone was in their bed just kind of decompressing and chilling. And it was snowing out, it was freezing, so I was getting ready to leave, and all of a sudden I see 3 gentlemen getting their boots and coats on, and I said, "Where are you guys going?" Because the last smoke break had already happened. And they said, "Wendy, we know you worked extra late tonight. We're going to go out, and we're going to shovel a path to your car, and then we're going to clean up your car for you." And even now, like, I get choked up because I thought, here I am paid to serve this amazing group of humans. And here they were that night, selflessly serving me. And they're outside being cheerful. And it was just so impactful. So I've tried to carry that with me through my whole time here, that if I'm not feeling energized, or if I'm feeling a little zapped on compassion or kindness that day, I always go back to that. And I think if they could muster it up that night and show that humble servanthood, then I can surely try to do my best each day when I come here to work.
It's hard because I can't really share exact personal stories. I started thinking about that, and there's so many people and guests that I get to meet after hearing their stories, then realizing how close it is, kind of like encompassing what I was saying earlier about how close it is to really so many of our lives.
One of the recent someone was staying here, he gave me a quote that I absolutely loved, and it was so deep. He said, he said, "I lost my life, but I was still alive." So, if someone stays here for 6 months, that's half a year. You get to know them every day, practically. You're seeing the same person. You're talking to them, you're getting to know them. How was work? What's the challenges at work? What's going on? So you really get attached to them. Sometimes it's like, most of the time it's actually kind of hard to see them go. They're just like family. And I've heard that so many times. Lazarus is a big family to them. They're just so, because they burnt their bridges. I mean, they might not have family alive, or they don't want to talk. So we are their family. So it's a very humbling and it's a grateful feeling knowing that they appreciate and they want you in their life.
We had a middle-aged guest a little while ago who came to the shelter after having been through 3 divorces. He did not have a great relationship with his kids at the time, his adult children.
he was just not in a great place. He was also working through a physical injury that really affected his mobility. So that was affecting his abilities at work. So he was going through a really difficult time, as many of our guests are here. And unfortunately, that was making it quite difficult to work with him. He was really nice, but he also was not great at following guidelines and kind of made living very difficult for a lot of the guests. And so it was a rough stay. And, you know, at the end, he was one of the people that we thought, this guy hasn't made so much progress. He really hadn't saved much of anything. He kept his job, so that was good. His physical health had improved, but there wasn't a lot that we had to show for the stay and outwardly. But something that was really impactful was he had a conversation with one of our directors where he said that he considered Lazarus House to have saved his life. And he said that when he was in his apartment before he came to Lazarus House, that he was considering very seriously and ending his own life. And that coming here and just having people speak to him like he mattered, and just, you know, reading him by name and asking him how his day was, actually caring about the answers. All of those little things meant so much to him that they had reminded him that he was worth going on, and given him that will to continue to at least see the next chapter, to see maybe the next chapter would be a better one. So that was something that I didn't have such a huge part in that story, but just, you know, me checking in with him and talking to him was, I think, really moving to me, that just the smallest things can have the biggest impact. And although it didn't seem like outwardly he'd made so much progress, that I think there's not a bigger success that we could have, you know, helped him to achieve than finding that spark again.
I realize everybody has a story. Everybody that works here, everybody that lives here.
I think my sense of empathy and understanding is just so much deeper than it could have been otherwise.
Oh, I think it's changed me immensely. I strongly believe in the idea that the same person that leaves work the night before is not the same one that walks in.
Not everything can get done 5 minutes ago, you know?
It's definitely opened my eyes, and I think a lot of people could benefit from this, in that you see everyone as a person who is struggling. I think there are a lot of preconceived notions about why people maybe have to go to a homeless shelter. And there are a lot of different reasons as to why that might happen. And they're all people, and they all need help, and they all have lots of different things going on in their lives. This could just be a blip in their lives that they have to get through. And that's why we're here to try and help them and get them moving forward.
A lot of the mental health I didn't really get to experience, unfortunately. The substance abuse is generally don't really see it unless it's part of you, part of your family, or you know someone. If not, it's just kind of easy to like, oh, you know, substance abuse is bad, but not really realizing the damage that is possible. So I don't know, I just kind of get some churning, I guess. Before this job, I was a volunteer firefighter, so I saw a lot of terrible things, but I was more physical.
Wow. For me personally, I think it's opened my eyes. Nothing surprises me anymore. I always tell people there's not a story I haven't heard, and just a different version of that story. So it's changed me because I think life's hard. Life is really hard. And if you don't have that common denominator as family, and I think our guests feel that love when they come in from the staff. The staff we will cheer you on more than most people have been cheered on their entire lives. And we will support you. So I always tell guests, I said, we'll give you the opportunity, but you need to take it. And if you don't take it, you've got 6 months in there, and you're going to go down one way or you're going to go down another. And our staff will, do everything in their power to support you every single day, to make sure that you leave better than you came. And so I think it's changed me just being witness to that. I always tell my kids, I tell volunteers that come into this house, it doesn't take a lot. We don't need a lot from you. We just need you to show up, and we need you to connect. And that can be just, hey, how was your day? Or just knowing somebody's name. People in general just want to be validated. And so our volunteers, our community, when they come up and they bring food, I mean, that's food that's made with intention of feeding somebody who doesn't have a meal. A lunch, when the little kids show up and they've got a sandwich, that is a sandwich that is going to feed somebody that couldn't make a sandwich to go to work. So our guests feel not just the love of the staff, but they feel the love of the community, because without this community, we can't do anything. So that changes you when you witness that every day, every hour of being in this house.
Just made me more curious, really. And that's something we really try to live by here. And, you know, if we try to catch each other too, you know, in times where, because we're human too, you know, so in times where we might be quick to judge someone, you know, there's always another person that offers a different perspective of, well, you know, there are these factors to consider. So I think just being here and the experiences I've had with people and the guests I've known and gotten to work with, it's just really opened my eyes to, there's just always more going on. And there's a reason for everyone's behavior.
I've done a lot of changing since I've been here. I have become much more open, much more compassionate, have more empathy than I've ever had before. And I realize that, again, everybody here is human beings. They all have their own perspective. They all have their past. They have their culture. And I have just become so much more open to realizing that everybody is leading their own best life. And we need to accept them where they are and meet them where they are, rather than trying to have them come over to how I think they should be. So I just think that that has had a huge impact on my life.
You know, what I see here at Lazarus House is children, mothers, fathers, good people that have fallen upon a bad situation for whatever that might be. And it's, you know, I think a lot of us, or there's a lot of people that look at homeless people as maybe drunk or drug addicted, people that just don't want to be part of society, but that's not really the truth. You know, there are people that struggle with addictions and stuff, but a lot of the people just had one bad circumstance come across and now they're homeless.
I think guest-wise, it's what we discussed before, mainly that these are normal people just needing a little help. I think there is a notion in people's heads about homeless people that is not a very kind preconceived notion, and these are just normal people. And I really think that would help a lot of people to realize that. And that many people in this day and age are probably living on the edge, that one wrong circumstance can send them over that edge and they could become homeless. And a lot of people are living very close to that edge.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we have started to run more of a program here, and we really just come alongside the guests to work on, like, right from the minute they get here, you know, let's work on that action plan. Like, you have 6 months here. What's the plan? You know, we get right to business and connecting them to different resources. And I think one of the main things too is just the staff is truly just something I've never seen before. Even just coming from a staff perspective and those relationships you have with the staff, it's just, you have so much support surrounding you. And I think the guests really feel that, and it's really lighthearted, and it's not staff are here and guests are here. Like, we're here with them. We're right alongside with them. And I do think the guests feel that, you know, because we can goof around, we can laugh, we can, you know, watch a movie together, do puzzles, you know, little things like that, I think is really that connection piece is what sets us apart. And again, we are running like a program now almost, and they have certain expectations, and I think it's to their benefit really, because we believe in them. So yeah, I think it's worked out the way it's gone.
I always like to talk about the staff. Our staff, they're the most amazing humans that we have. And over the years, we've become kind of a family for each other. I mean, we deal with hard stuff every day. And so where do you go with that? I mean, you can't go home with it because it would disrupt your own family system. So we go to each other. So we rely on each other to step up, to help us through some of the really hard things that we have to deal with our guests. So we have an incredible staff that will have your back. We've got a lot of years of working together. And so we show up for each other as much as we show up for the guests. And I don't think people know that. And we like each other. I mean, I think that's a big thing. We've got excellent leadership here. Leadership that brings all the case managers in. So we make decisions as a group. It's not, which is sometimes surprising for our guests, it's not a one person making the decision. We make group decisions, which I think helps because we're not all always at our best every single day.
On the case management team and throughout the whole house, everyone who works here, safety is probably the most important thing that we value. And when we have to make hard decisions about whether a guest is going to be asked to leave for safety reasons or whether they're allowed to come back, and there's been some safety issues, we do not take that decision lightly. We sit around sometimes an hour to 2 hours just talking about one person because we realize that impacts their life and where they sleep that night. So I think that's just important to know that we never take those decisions lightly, and we put a lot of emphasis on trying to make the best decision with the information that we have.
So there's a lot more to it than just get a job. Sometimes there's mental health that's so profound that, it just impacts our life every day. I mean, it's bipolar, maybe it's schizophrenia. Part of the other thing was talking about where you can't force help is that mental health, a lot of people don't recognize it. They don't recognize they need help. So you can't force someone to take meds. You can't say, hey, maybe you should talk to someone about these voices that you're hearing, because to them it's real.
There is just so much time and effort and honestly skill put into keeping all of these systems running, to getting the grant money in, processing the grant money correctly, reporting the things that you need to report, dealing with landlords, all of those really, really boring pieces of work take up a lot of time and a lot of different people's days. And if we aren't supporting the people that need to do that work, then it doesn't get done. And people don't have apartments.
I think most people, because we're a homeless shelter or because anybody's a homeless shelter, they just assume all homeless shelters are the same sometimes. So space or what they take is all similar across the board. Some people I see will go, oh, shelter wants socks or shelters want this. And every shelter is different. So you do really need to call the shelter and just ask what they need, because space-wise, they might not have room for this, or they might not have room. We don't have a clothes closet. Some people think we take clothes, and we really don't take clothes, or those kind of things. So and ask for a tour. I mean, most of us would give you a tour in a heartbeat, just so that they can kind of get a little bit understanding of what we do here, even if it's, a brief 15 minutes or something, just so that they get a peek inside and kind of know that, this is why we can't do this, but we'd love to do this in the future, some of these ideas. But, and every shelter is different. Like Elgin Pads, I know, does have a clothes closet, and that's something they have space for. So that's amazing. We don't have the space. So we're not all alike. All of us are different, and they all do great things.
Probably just having a better understanding of the population of homelessness. And I know that sounds very general, but we were just at an event staff and guests. And we had people come up to us and say, oh, we're so disappointed that no guests showed up. But the guests were right there with us. But I think they were looking for the homeless people there to look a lot different than we are. And some do, but I think just that beauty of taking a little bit of the stigma out, and making people understand that we're all, one community, just trying our best in life.
I think in general, the biggest misconception that I also had coming in is, what a homeless person looks like or whatever. And really it's like learning, especially in today's world, that, many of us are kind of one step away from being homeless. Getting to meet so many different individuals with so many stories. And then, really a lot of times it's just, especially with women in general, a lot of times women put themselves last on the list. So, that is a huge piece of what I see time and time again. Women who are caring for their elderly moms, parents, they pass away, then they have nowhere to go. Or parents that have been taking care of their kids. So it's a struggle financially. So many women still trying to help pay to help their kids when a detriment to themselves, things like that. So really, I think, that's the biggest thing, is that something happens to one of us with our health or a family member or your child, and, financial hardships, we could all be in the same spot.
I think the first time I heard the bell ring, and I'm not sure if anyone else has shared that story, but we have this big bell that sits in our executive director's office. And when somebody has made it through the program and they have found their own housing and they're moving into an apartment or house, or they're moving on in a successful story, we all gather at the top of the stairs, the staff, with this bell, and we ring the bell for them, and it's a sign that they are now moving on to the next chapter of their life.
Sometimes it's an outside agency that causes, the domestic violence, or, senior citizens that have, two senior citizens that have lived together their full life living on Social Security. One passes away. The other one can't live on one Social Security check, not in this area. There's no affordable housing. So we have seniors coming here. I mean, when you see a 76-year-old woman show up at our door because she can't afford to live in our community, that's gut-wrenching, that there is nowhere that person can live in a community they live their full life at. So it can be very difficult. Hard stories to hear, a lot. I've got a gentleman in CTL that was donated a guitar, and he's been redoing the guitar for another guest that he knows it will mean so much more when that guest moves out. So we see acts of kindness just between each other that is amazing. When people think they don't have anything and it's material, they give every day of their hearts. They give, I come in on a Monday and they'll clean the whole CTL because they want to make sure. And they do it for me. They write notes. They write letters. They're just so grateful for what this house provides them. I hear it daily. And it's easy to work with people that have a heart of gratitude. I mean, it's easy. And they come in and they don't necessarily, there's a honeymoon stage, or they don't necessarily have that because they're angry at the world. And then they come in and you watch that human transition, that as kindness, seeps into their hearts, they in turn start to soften, and they help their neighbor, and their neighbor being, whether it's in CTL or out in Chapel Street. And by the time they leave here, people are changed. They're changed by the love and the kindness that it seeps into this house.
We've definitely seen a surge in migrants coming in. Also, because of more people coming into the area, a lot of the emergency shelters are filling up. So even if they're not in our area, the other areas might be full, even if we're not, but because they're not in our area, we may not be able to help them. So that's difficult.
And I think that is like a piece that people, if you could come in and see the actual space and they're like, oh, next time I go to the store, I'm just going to pick up a bag of sugar. It sounds so silly, but oh my gosh, if without coffee in the morning, I know people will say, well, that's a want, not a need. It is a need. It's not my need. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'd like to have coffee for everybody in the morning, and sugar and creamer kind of are the thing, to go along with it. But it just can make someone's day. You know what I mean? It starts someone off on the right foot or whatever. Coffee in the morning can seem so simple. That bag of sugar, it's the drop off. We have a guy who comes and every time he runs his store, he just calls us and he picks up 3 things: bananas, maybe a gallon of milk, and a box of cereal. That's, it's exactly what we asked for when he calls, So it's kind of an amazing gift to give. From that to the big stuff that you don't always, obviously the remodeling and that kind of stuff's huge. Because that gave space to so many more people and areas to relax. And that's what also we're talking about, maybe expanding that for the men in that area, or that facet of the shelter, or whatever it'll be someday. Who's to say?
People see the physical needs that we have, and they donate that, the cups, the gloves, all of those things which are so important. But I think people don't see the people that are here, and I think the biggest thing that people could learn about Lazarus House is the people inside of this house are your neighbors. They are your child's teacher. They are the person bagging up your groceries at Julasco. They're not so different from us. And most of us are, one crisis away from being in a similar situation.
I'm lucky at what I get to do because I get to see both sides of the coin. I get to see the generous donors, what we would not be able to achieve without their help is just insane. We wouldn't even be here without all the donors. So that's the biggest part. And I think so many people, we watch the news and whatever, and there's so much negativity, but I get to see that side of it where most people don't, when really I can just make a phone call or send an email and everybody just wants to know, like, oh, how can I help? I can, tell them and they're like, done, got it. So that's always amazing to me.
It's hard because during the pandemic, the numbers went way down and now we're kind of back up again. People got scared, did not want to be in a communal setting. So I would say we serve anywhere from 135 to maybe 190 people per year. Now that's probably over the last 5 years looking back. But what we're seeing is not necessarily the number of people increasing, but the number of people staying here longer. It used to be an average of 2 months. People now are averaging somewhere between 4 and 5 months they're staying.
One of them is actually that we have programs. We are not just an emergency shelter. You don't just come in and sleep and eat and leave. We have programs. Our case managers are fantastic with our guests here. They work with them individually, one-on-one, to develop, goals and objectives, things that they need to do to make changes in their lives if they need to, or how to start a bank account, get a credit card, get a driver's license. Our case managers are actually working with them to make all the changes that they need to become independent again. We have 3 different programs. I'm sure you've heard of them: our emergency shelter, our CTL, which is a Center for Transitional Living, and our homeless prevention services.
And I get asked this question a lot: what is the biggest issue that contributes to homelessness? And what I think the biggest misconception is that the individuals we serve here at Lazarus House are people just like all of us. They're human beings that have hopes, dreams, and they've just had a roadblock come up in their life. And, people always want to pinpoint an issue. And it's not necessarily an issue. It could be something as simple as somebody who took care of their parent while their parent was very sick, and then the parent passes away and the house has to be sold. So that person loses their housing. And now they haven't been working for a while because they took care of their parents. And so now all of a sudden they don't have a home. Or it could be a young adult who is having some issues with their parents and lose their housing at the age of 18. So the misconception is that you can point to they're lazy or they use drugs but every person that comes here is a human being with their own story, and every story is so different. So I think that's the biggest misconception that I encounter.
I would say that we're very unique compared to other shelters. I've seen it firsthand that the case management team talks about each and every guest.
I think that most people just don't know my position here. So my position is the fundraiser. I get to plan and execute all the fun events that happen here at Lazarus House. I get to take a vision and then create something new and exciting for people to come and participate. Instead of just coming to the door and ringing the bell and donating, they can come to an event and learn about Lazarus House and have a great meal or meet other people. And it's just a great position to be in to show people what we do here at Lazarus House.
My dream scenario would be to advocate for more affordable housing in the community, and that's something that Lazarus House is trying to work on right now. We serve a lot of people at the door just for food. A lot of people don't realize that people just come up and we'll give them a sack lunch. A lot of people don't realize we do that. And how are they getting their resources? I don't know all of their stories or anything like that.
I just read an article this morning that said nationally it costs a minimum of having a salary of $49,400 to get a one-bedroom apartment across the country. It takes close to $60,000 to have a two-bedroom apartment in the country we live in.
Feel very strongly about this one.
So right now, we are really good at helping people navigate the existing housing landscape. What I think we could do in the future is focus our efforts on changing the housing landscape.
Oh, my dream scenario would be for us to be able to do more affordable housing. So not just, expanding our programs inside the shelter, but being able to offer, maybe working with an apartment building in some capacity to really offer affordable housing.
We really want to try to, have everybody who comes in leave better off than they were when they came.
For me, the dream would be to watch each person that comes in here be able to leave and have the life that they dream of having.
That's a good one. So if we had maybe a second building, to be able to house or shelter people just for the night, just so they're off the streets.
And I hope that, and those people go out, they achieve greatness and they help somebody else. They pass it along to the next person.
This affordable housing is going to be for people who are exiting our emergency shelter after staying here for 6 months. So they're already used to communal living. So this is going to be a kind of a step back toward independent housing.
So I know some sign language.
I wouldn't say surprising talents. I mean, people are always shocked that I speak Spanish fluently. It was my first language, but yeah, that's the one that's surprising.
Maybe. I'm a pretty good ping pong player. I love ping pong, and I've actually transitioned that into pickleball.
Recently, I've been doing those Altoid mints, tin cans. So I'm making them, I saw it online, but making them into little wallets per se. So, mints out, and then inside I kind of make it personalized for a friend. So I just gifted this to my friend for her birthday, and I thought it was really cute. So, but then
Really, I like to draw a lot. I guess I don't talk about that a lot. It's not really a talent show talent.
we have 2 dogs, so we do a lot with our pets. We're homebodies at home, so, kind of boring.
I'm a woodworker, avid woodworker. I started off as a cabinet maker and countertops and all that, and got into furniture making, custom bookcases and tables, and now I'm starting to make toys, children toys and stuff of that nature.
My grandmother started me on a postcard collection. So whenever she would travel, she would send me a postcard. And then everyone I knew just kind of got in on that bandwagon. So I've had this postcard collection for a lot of years now. And about 10 years ago, I was flying on a plane and I met this gentleman who had just come into an unexpected windfall of money and was traveling in his later years. And somehow we got talking about the postcard collection. So for the next 10 years, this stranger that I had just met on the plane sent me a postcard from all of his travels.
I hula hoop with the kids and some of the shelter guests. We had hula hoops, and yeah, that's a lot of fun.
We were just talking about this, and they said if you tell them, they're going to make you do it, so don't tell them. But I was first going to say being an ultra marathon runner, and obviously that's more like a hobby, but I can wiggle my ears. Okay, all right, don't put this in. We were laughing that like everybody was going to be talking, and then my only part was just going to be me wiggling my ears. Okay, ready? For the wiggling? Yeah. Okay, that's my hidden talent.
I've done the Muddy Buddy, where the Muddy Buddy is where you have a partner, and so I would run the first leg while she rides, and then she drops the bike, and then she starts running, and I have to go and pick up the bike and then go. And it's 5 legs. I ran 3, did bike 2, and one of my biking legs, I had to carry the bike through shoulder height water, which I did not expect. And there's always an obstacle between each leg, and then at the end you have to go through the mud. I watch the show Alone. I watch Married at First Sight. It's very embarrassing to say. And I have started watching again Survivor. I didn't watch it for a lot of years, but I watched, and The Amazing Race is one of my favorites. We got a lot of Bachelor people around here.
But I am like a reality TV person. Oh, The Real Housewives. Oh, wait, don't put that in. Survivor.
I'm a Star Wars fan, nerd. The nerd dude like that.
True crime stories are my guilty pleasure. Sometimes I'm known to watch Hallmark Christmas movies. It's not very often, but if there's nothing else on. It's Katie likes the 90 Day. Carlos likes the Below Deck. Everybody has like a show, and they all like recommend them. I used to watch The Housewives, but it's too hard to keep. It's too hard to keep up.
So mine is Supernatural.
I don't know if people have probably heard of it, but a movie that I really like is The Princess Bride. Yeah, it's kind of a fairy tale movie, but it's got adventure and humor and romance and zombies. Yeah, my husband and I are into zombies.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I started watching Schitt's Creek on Netflix, and it was the first day that it was released, so nobody knew about it.
But like one of my favorite movies of all time is called The Florida Project. I love a good movie that makes me cry. So essentially this movie's about this young mom. It follows this young mom and her daughter living in a motel and next to what is essentially the happiest and most magical place on earth, Disney World in Florida. Superheroes to comedies.
I really enjoyed Gossip Girl when I watched it.
Grey's Anatomy.
I am a TV junkie. My husband and I, we sit and watch TV shows together unless he can't wait for me because I'm at work or vice versa. For All Mankind. If you haven't seen it, it's very good.
Probably wouldn't. It'd keep my knowledge. Keep my knowledge, I'd probably go 20s. Because I'm in my 30s now, so 20s. Yeah. My 20s, sorry. In my 20s, and then I'd probably do
Probably because school seems so hard, things seem so hard, and it's not that hard, and I'd probably just attack it at that time if I have the knowledge I have now. Oh, is that a good answer?
I'm fascinated by the westward movement. Covered wagons, going to undiscovered territory. I love nature. I'm really into the national parks. I wanna hit them all. I don't know if I will. And I just love nature, and I would love to have seen all of the United States, or at least the western part of the United States, west of the Mississippi, in its natural state before we kind of took over.
Oh. Julie is one of the hardest working people I know. She is smart. She'll never ask you to do anything that she won't do. And always, 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 she has the mission of Lazarus House at the forefront of all of our decisions here. And it's an honor to work with her.
Wow. Julie is an amazing individual. I have learned so much from her professionally and even personally. She is extremely dedicated to Lazarus House. She is an amazing leader. I am thrilled beyond belief that she is our executive director here. She dives in anywhere and everywhere that needs something. She is on our list for cleaning our bathroom. We don't have people to clean the bathrooms and the floors and take out the garbage. And so we all do it. We all take care of it. You know, we all have our name on the schedule. She has her name on the schedule. We tried to take her off of it once, and she said, absolutely not. She said, I work here. This is what I do. Amazing leader, great friends. She is extremely intelligent and extremely compassionate and passionate about what she does. Like I said, I have learned a lot from her, especially since she has done numerous roles in this agency. She has been an assistant, she's been the grant writer, she's been in fundraising, she's been in volunteer coordinating. So she knows so much about this place. And we are incredibly lucky to have her, and incredibly lucky to keep her as long as we have. So not what she stays for a long time, because I don't plan on retiring for at least 4 to 5 years. So she has to stay that long. So because I don't want her to leave.
Julie is just our rock. She is just like the stable heart of the organization. She has to do so much as the director, just to speak to so many people and make so many decisions. And she just does it all with such grace and poise. And she just keeps that stability and always is keeping our values and our mission in mind, and is really able to just field a lot of different questions and opinions from all of our staff. I think we have about 35 staff right now.
Constantly moving, go-getter, amazing, totally inclusive with so many different things. There whenever you need her. We're very grateful to have because she's been in every role before, just about. So she really does kind of get a lot of things because she's been there and done that. So we're grateful for that.
Well, very professional. She and fair. Like she's fair, professional, fair, and team player. I think she values those three.
Passionate, kind, caring, devoted.
Julie comes across very tough, but she has the biggest heart of anyone I know. But you have to kind of break through that to get to that part. But Julie would give anything to any one of our guests if she could, and same to staff. So, but when you meet her, she comes across pretty tough. She's actually an amazing human being.
She's very, very driven. And even if she doesn't have the energy, she will create the energy out of nowhere to do whatever task is right in front of her in that moment. And if she has a goal in mind, she goes for it and she does not let go.
I think she's a very, she's a quiet leader. I think she's trying to be more quiet.
I always said she could be the director. She's so like level and, you know, just she kind of has that level demeanor. So I would call her very thoughtful, very, I mean, she was goofy when she wasn't the director. Now she's very, like, you know, she has to, and she can do that. She can turn that off and on, and that's like a gift. Like, she, you know, has that talent of, like, kind of just calmly having the answer or feeling like she's having that answer. I know sometimes it's a struggle because we don't have the answers. That's the hardest part of this gig is every day is so different. You're like, I don't know, let me think a minute. I don't, you know, and she can somehow do that with a way that's comforting to others, which other directors haven't always done. So it's a gift. I don't know what that gift would be. And she's kind. She really does want Lazarus House to do something, which, of course, she's here. So it's kind of silly. But, you know, I mean, I feel like that's kind of her thing. That's probably, guess what I would say. Julie. Just a leader, someone that leads by example. I think, like, she's not afraid to, I think, step outside her role. And, you know, she's the director, but if anyone were to come in and, you know, just meet us and watch us interact, like, I just feel like you wouldn't think that just because she doesn't set herself apart that way. You know, she will join us and any meetings that we have coming up, or, you know, ask us if we need help, check up on us. You know, she just leads by example, I would say. And she's a person that always reminds us to be curious, not judgmental. So we appreciate her for that. Oh, Julie is a fierce leader. Fierce leader. I have a lot of respect for Julie. Not just for heart, because she shows up. I mean, she shows up for our staff, and she shows up for our guests. And she is somebody that is willing to go and do whatever it takes. But she also, there's a lot of respect. She always, which I think is a little different. I don't want to say it done in the past, so don't talk that out, but she really takes and values our opinions. So, like, she'll say to me often, please, sure, or advocating for your guest, and she'll take that into consideration. So it's not, it's a group effort. It's a group effort on hard decisions. So I respect her leadership and what she does, but she shows up for her staff. I mean, if, like, for the move, I can move. No, I mean, she's got not just us, not just our guests, but she's got a community she has to answer to. And people don't realize that her job goes beyond this house on a daily basis, but it's a whole community that she has to answer to and to you know, get donors. Or we don't run if she's not raising money and doing the things that she has to do. But you walk in her office and she will pause and she will take the time to say, hey, you know, what can I do? What can I do to help you? And I always laugh at her. I'm like, yeah, because you have the most family in the world. But she shows up. She shows up for her guests, and she is very involved, which is amazing. So I have a ton of respect for her. The staff here are some of the most caring individuals that truly work together with a team mentality. Anytime something comes up, everybody will jump at the chance to help. They all contribute. They all support each other. And I think that that's so important due to the work that we do here. They are just amazing. And I always tell them that I appreciate them and I appreciate everything that they do. And I know how hard it is some days. And for them to come back after a hard day is just amazing. And I can't say enough good things about them. I see you, I appreciate you, and I celebrate you for being part of this amazing
place.